What's going on, Raindrops? Welcome back to another Hobby News Wednesday, where this week we'll be covering rules from the Imperial Knights, Chaos Knights, and much more. And we've also got a bit of D&D news because they teased a new sourcebook coming later this year. Let's get into it. So first up, for new rules, we have the Imperial Knights. Their army rule is going to be coded chivalric. If your army faction is Imperial Knights at the end of the read mission objective step, you must select one of the oaths below to be active for your army. Models from your army with this ability gain the associated ability, and you gain the associated deed to complete. If at the start of any of your command phases your selected oath deed is complete, your army becomes honored for the rest of the battle, and you gained 3 command points. You can only gain CP in this way once per battle. Lay Low the Tyrant oath ability. Each time this model is selected to shoot or fight, re-roll a hit roll of 1 and re-roll a wound roll of 1. Deed. This deed is completed if the enemy warlord is destroyed. Reclaim the Realm oath ability. Add 1 inch to this model's move characteristic and add 1 to advance and charge rolls made for this model. Looking at that, I would personally go with Lay Low the Tyrant. Rerolling hit rolls of 1 and wound rolls of 1 is great. The Noble Lance Detachment rule. Indomitable heroes gathered into a powerful formation known as a lance. Imperial knights and nobles who pilot them wage their honor-driven assaults with renowned resilience and bloody-minded determination. All Imperial Knight models from your army have the Feel No Pain 6+ ability. If your army is honored, those models have the Feel No Pain 5+ ability. Unit Spotlight. The Warglaive. Not seeing anything interesting here. The Canis Rex. Seeing anything interesting there. The Thundercoil Harpoon. Anti-monster 4+, anti-vehicle 4+, devastating wounds. Range 18. Rapid fire battle cannon, range 72. Attack, yeah. Shoulder the burden. This is for 2 command points. When during your command phase, target 1 Imperial Knight model from your army that has lost 1 or more wounds. Until the start of your next command phase, improve your model's move, toughness, save, leadership, and objective control characteristics by 1, and each time your model makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll. So basically, you're just getting a +1 to everything. You can only use the stratagem once per battle. If your army is armored, you can use this stratagem 1 additional time. Trophy claim for 1 command point. This is during your shooting phase or the fight phase. 1 Imperial Knight model from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight this phase, and 1 enemy monster or vehicle unit. Until the end of the phase, each time your model makes an attack that targets that enemy unit, add 1 to the wound roll. If your model destroys that enemy unit this phase, you gain 1 command point. But if your model does not destroy that enemy unit this phase, you cannot use the stratagem again for the rest of the battle. And that is the new rules for Imperial Knights. And let us get on to the Tau Empire. The Tau Empire, for the greater good. The Tau's army rule is for the greater good. If your army faction is Tau Empire, then in your shooting phase, units from your army can work in pairs to help each other target specific enemy units. When they do this, one unit is the observer unit and the other is their guided unit. The enemy they are targeting is called their spotted unit. Each time you select this unit to shoot, if it is not an observer unit, it can use this ability. If it does, select one other friendly unit from this ability that is also eligible to shoot, excluding fortification, battle shock, and observer units. Until the end of the phase, this unit is considered a guided unit, and that friendly unit is considered an observer unit. And select one enemy unit that is visible to both your units to be their spotted unit. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in a guided unit makes an attack that targets their spotted unit, improve the ballistic skill characteristic of the attack by 1, and if their observer unit has the marker-like keyword, the attack has the ignores cover ability. Each time a model in a guided unit makes an attack that does not target their spotted unit, worsen the ballistic skill characteristic of the attack by 1. The detachment rule will be for the Canyon. The technical philosophy known as the Kayun allows for Tau commanders to draw the enemy into a deadly trap, springing at the perfect moment to deliver a storm of fatal strikes which none can escape. From the third battle round onwards, all ranged weapons equipped by Tau Empire models from your army have the Sustained Hits 1 ability. While a unit is a guided unit, see for the greater good, weapons in that unit have the Sustained Hits 2 ability. Here's a Pathfinder team. A lot of drones. Okay. Drones do different things, apparently. I don't know Tau stuff, so we're just going to skip to the stratagems. For one command point, you get combat at embarkation. This is during your opponent's charge phase, just after an enemy unit has declared a charge. Target one Tau Empire infantry unit from your army that was selected as one of the targets of that charge, and one friendly transport. Your unit can embark within the transport. If it does, your opponent can select new targets for that charge. Every model in your Tau Empire infantry unit must be within 3 inches of that transport, and there must be significant transport capacity to embark the entire unit. And that is the Tau Empire. Next up, we have the Chaos Knights. The Chaos Knights, the corruption of chivalry. Interesting photo. I like how there's the dreadnought right there. I had to look at it again. Harbingers of Dread. If your army faction is Chaos Knights, each model from your army with this ability gains a bonus depending on which Dread abilities are active for your army. Once a Dread ability is active for your army, that ability applies until the end of the battle. From the first round onwards, the Despair ability is active for your army. Despair. While an enemy unit is within 12 inches of this model, each time that enemy unit takes a Battle Shock or Leadership test, subtract 1 from that test. Battle round 3 and onwards. From the third battle round onwards, the Doom and Darkness ability is active for your army. Doom and Darkness. Each time this model makes an attack, if the target is battle shocked, add 1 to the wound roll. Each time an attack targets this model, if the attacking model unit is battle shocked, subtract 1 from the hit roll. And so their detachment, it will be the Traitorous Lance, one of their detachments, and their detachment rule will be Forced in Terror. Chaos Knights are servants of shadow and terror. Whenever they stride, fear and madness spread. In the battle shock step of your opponent's command phase, if an enemy unit that is below its starting strength is within 12 inches of a Chaos Knight model from your army, that enemy unit must take a battle shock test. For the purposes of this ability, if a unit has a starting strength of 1, it is considered to be below its starting strength, while it has lost 1 or more wounds. Just more knight rules, gals. The Dreadhounds stratagem. When the start of your shooting phase or the start of the fight phase, 2 or more War Dog units from your army and 1 enemy unit that is an eligible target for each of those selected War Dog units. Effect. Until the end of the phase, the selected War Dog units can only target that enemy unit, but all weapons equipped by those War Dog models gauge the Sustained Hits ability. In addition, if that enemy unit is battle shocked until the end of the phase, each time a selected War Dog model makes an attack against the enemy unit, an unmodified hit roll of 5+ scores a critical hit. So it seems really interesting. I think they're going to pair up really well against the Imperial Knights. Let's look at some models, shall we? So for models, we've got these 3 lovely things coming from Forge World for the game of Necromunda, which I believe Necromunda has some cross with Warhammer 40k. I can't remember, but I know they take place in the same universe. Also, these models just look pretty cool, so I'm going to cover them. This dude with the scales, I think, looks pretty interesting. I like his staff. The staff is really interesting. These things are sick. Sarlacc mixed with some sort of bug. I don't know what they're mixed with, but the mouth definitely gives me Sarlacc vibes, and they look pretty sick. Those are on pre-order right now. Speaking of things for pre-order, we do have the new Kill Team box. Things that have gone for pre-order. Also, we have the Ashes of Faith box. This thing, it looks like it's coming with a ton of models. You got a ton of Chaos Cult models. You've got the Imperial Agents we covered in last week's. You've got some Sisters of Silence and some Tempest Scions. Here's the Imperial Agents, I think, that all come with it, which are looking sick as ever. You've also got the these are the made to order ones. This was an event exclusive miniature, so if you want to cop that, I'd recommend it. Other than that, you've got a lot of the Firstborns. Could be pretty interesting. I like this guy. He just seems like he's in scout armor. That's different. For Horus Heresy, you have this tank, this lord that we covered in way back, I think at the start of May, and this guy that we also covered in that same video, and this thing. I don't remember if I covered this thing, but he looks sick. That arm gun thing. I don't know if it is a gun, but it should be a gun if it's not. And then you got a spoiler upgrade set. Loving the axe because I'm a Space Wolf player. And then as for that, you've got torsos for your contemptors. Whoa, wait. That's the word bearers? I would have thought this. Word bearers look actually pretty cool. Solid. Salamanders. There's no Space Wolf, sadly. Sadness for me. And then some Black Library books. We won't talk about those, though. Let's get back to some rules. Next up for rules, we have the Golden Legion, otherwise known as the Adeptus Custodes. Their army rule is going to be Martial Kata. At the start of the fight, select one Kata stance from the list below to be active for your army until the end of the phase. While a Kata stance is active for your army, each unit from your army with this ability gains the relevant ability. Oh gosh, these names are going to be really hard for me to pronounce, but I'm going to try. Captaris stance. Captaris is optimized to trap enemy units in close combat with the Custodes, while their elite warriors can eliminate them. Each time a melee attack targets this unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll. The Decatari stance. That one's. This aggressive fighting style has been adapted for the Custodes to deal with the hordes of foes who vastly outnumber them. Melee weapons equipped by models in this unit have the sustained hit to 1 ability. The Rendax stance. Masters of Rendax are superlative master and war machine hunters. Melee weapons equipped in this model have the lethal hits ability. One of their detachments looks like it's going to be the Shield Host, and their detachment rule is going to be Aegis of the Empire. The cellular alchemy that creates the warriors of the Adeptus Custodes leaves them forever touched by a spark of the Emperor's own greatness. Beyond their martial might and incorruptible nobility, this energy manifests itself as an almost supernatural warding, as though the custodians were protected by the hand of the Emperor. Adeptus Custodi models from your army have the Feel No Pain 4+ ability against mortal wounds. So that's all pretty neat. Let's get into their command point. The Vigil Unending. For 1 command point, this is an epic deed stratagem. The Custodes are determined that every second of their lives will be spent committed to the Emperor, and they do not yield with their duty while their duty remains unfilled, rising from the blood and ashes to continue their vigil. When your command phase, target 1 Adeptus Custodes infantry unit from your army, excluding Anthem Psychana units. 1 destroyed model, including character models, is returned to your unit with its full wounds remaining. You cannot target the same unit with a stratagem more than once per battle. So that all seems really interesting. Custodes being able to just kind of come back there. It's really interesting. But speaking of things that you can never seem to get rid of, let's talk about orcs. As I mentioned, the next faction we're going to be talking about is the never-ending Green Tide, the orcs. Orcs are so fun. I'm really looking forward to see what these rules are. Their first rule is war. If your army faction is orcs, once per battle at the start of the battle round, you can call a wall. If you do, until the start of the next battle round, orc units from your army are eligible to declare a charge in a turn where they advance. Add 1 to strength and attacks characteristic of melee weapons equipped by orc models from your army. Orc models from your army have a 5+ invulnerable save. And for one of their detachments is going to be called the War Tribe. Detachment rule. Get stuck in. Once an orc gets stuck into hand-to-hand combat, they quickly overwhelm their enemy through sheer ferocity. Melee weapons equipped by orc models from your army have the sustained hits 1 ability. I'm liking how so far it seems that their rules are just really simple. Gazgul. Looking sick. Okay, orcs is now beaten. For 2 command points, this is a Wa tribe epic deed stratagem. So resilient is orc physiology, and so slow are orcs on the uptake that even killing wounds can take a while to register. When fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. Target one orc unit from your army that was selected as the targets of one or more of the attacking unit's attacks. Effect. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit is destroyed, if that model has not fought this phase, do not remove it from play. The destroyed model can fight after the attacking model's unit has finished making attacks, and is then removed from play. There we go, is the next one. This is a battle tactics one. When start of your movement phase, target one orc's infantry unit from your army. Effect until the end of turn, add 2 to advance and charge rolls made for your unit. Even lumber and orcs can put on a surprising turn to speed when the promise of a good face-to-face fight is the offering. Once a horde of orcs gets sight of a foe, nothing can stop them. There we go, boys. Okay, and that is going to be it for our Warhammer 40k news. Up next, we have some D&D news. Let's get into it. Alright, for our D&D news, we have a new sourcebook. Bigby presents Glory of the Giants. A manual of mammoth marvels. Bigby the Great recounts his journeys into the history, myth, and society of giants in this guide to their realms, and the worlds of Dungeons and Dragons. Here, Bigby and the demigod Diane Castra, child of giants, All-Father Annam, unveil the secrets of Annam's mighty descendants. Players will find a wealth of giant-themed character options, a subclass for barbarians, 2 backgrounds related to giants and their runic magic, feat options that invoke strength, and primal magic of the giants. Dungeon masters will gain inspiration for bringing giants to life. From maps of giant-built sites and big new monsters to tremendous treasures, intriguing trinkets in a giant's bag, let Bigby and Diane Castra teach you everything about the iconic giants of D&D. Delves into unrevealed giant lore, including an overview of hierarchical structure of the ordering and giants, religion, and ideas about giants' organizations and societies across the multiverse. Add giant-themed player character options with 1 new barbarian subclass, the Path of the Giant, for use in the D&D Beyond character creator. Explore the vast world of giants with 2 new backgrounds and 8 new feats to unleash runic magic and wield elemental power. Discover a wondrous collection of over 30 magic items, including 3 illustrious artifacts. Encounter over 70 new monsters and other enormous creatures to face in the face. This is the digital one, so it's going to mention D&D Beyond a lot. Offers a plethora of tools for Dungeon Master, including layer maps, detailed lore, adventure hooks, encounter tables, treasure, and giant role-playing inspiration. This book, like, if you were planning on doing like a giant themed campaign, like where you're fighting a lot of giants, or even if you have a giant player and like lore for giants is gonna come up at some point, I'd recommend getting this book. But yeah, that is gonna be it for this news. Let's get on to my personal news. Alright, so now for the personal news segment. I don't actually have a lot this week. I kind of took a break from streaming last week because I have been playing the hell out of Tears of the Kingdom. I may have a slight problem, but it's a fun game. That's not relevant, though, to this channel. But yeah, other than that, I will be streaming tomorrow. I'm not sure when because I have cleaning checks, so whenever those are done, I'll probably start streaming. Other than that, though, make sure to follow me on Twitch, TikTok, and Instagram. It is _Stormbreaker. And like and subscribe to this channel if you're liking this content so far. I will see you guys in another video. Peace out.